Hi everyone, this is lesson 5. We're dividing polynomials and monomials today. I think I said in my previous video that that was the last lesson, but this is actually the last lesson in the polynomials unit. So last lesson we multiplied polynomials and monomials, and today we're dividing. We're going to start with our visual models again, and then move into the symbolic examples. Okay. So again, when we're multiplying or dividing, we like to think of these area models. So the length and the width would be what we multiply by, and then the result is the area. So this time when we're dividing, we have the area, which is 3x plus 6, and we're given one of the sides, and we have to figure out the missing side. So we can see from the picture here that the missing side would be 1x plus 2. Now the rule is going to be essentially both terms in the numerator need to be divided by the denominator. So we get 1x plus 2. Okay, so again, same thing here. We have the area, which is 2x squared minus 6x. We have one of the side lengths is 2x, and then we have to figure out what this side length would be to match. So we are multiplying, we need to multiply by 1x, and then negative 3, I guess, yeah. To be x minus 3. Okay. Let's get into the examples. All right, so just like with distribution with multiplication, we need to think of this as division here when we see these fractions, and this is grouped essentially with a bracket. So this negative 7 is going to be dividing both of these terms. In fact, the first few times I do these with students, I like to write it out separately. So what this really means is 14b squared needs to be divided by negative 7b, and 49b needs to be divided by negative 7b. So let's go ahead and do those. 14 divided by negative 7 is negative 2. Remember from lesson 3 that when you're multiplying or dividing monomials like this, you need to divide the two numbers and then divide the two variables. So b squared divided by b, we subtract the exponents to get b. Okay, over here we're going to get 49 divided by negative 7, which is negative 7. And then b divided by b, which cancels out. So there's our final answer, negative 2b minus 7. Okay, let's try one more. Both of these terms in the numerator need to be divided by the negative 3, so let's write it out separately. So we'd have negative 12n divided by negative 3 and 15n squared divided by negative 3. Okay, and then recall that we need to divide the numbers and the variables together. Okay, here there's just numbers to divide, so negative 12 divided by negative 3 is 4. And then here we'd have negative 5n squared. We don't need to divide the variables at all because there's no variable in the denominator. Okay, lastly, we're going to divide 3 terms this time. So let's write it out. 4x squared divided by 2x, negative 2x. And then we have negative 2xy divided by negative 2x. And we have 8xy squared divided by negative 2x. Okay, so remember we're dividing the variables and the numbers separately. I'm just going to highlight them all first. And then we have these other terms y here. Okay, so let's divide the pink numbers together. We would get negative 2. 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2, and then x squared divided by x is x. Here we have negative 2 divided by negative 2, which is positive 1. X divided by x, which cancels out, and then we just have y. We don't need to write the 1 as the coefficient, but you can. Then finally, we have negative 4. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. The x's cancel out, and then we have y squared. All right, so that's our final answer. Okay, area of the rectangle of one side is given. Determine an expression for the length of the missing side. So if I wanted to know this side, then I would want to divide. So I'd have 8x squared minus 16x divided by 4x. So this 4x needs to be divided into both terms in the numerator. So I'm going to have 8x squared over 4x minus 16x over 4x. And recall that we divide the numbers and we divide the variables. So I'm going to have 2x minus, and then 16 divided by 4 is 4. Those x's cancel out. All right, so my final answer is 2x minus 4. And finally, we have the surface area of a cylinder is given by this formula, where r is the radius of the cylinder and h is the height. You might recall this back from last year when you learned about the surface area of cylinders. Write a simplified expression for the ratio of the cylinder's surface area to its radius. So what that means is when you write a ratio, you can write it as a fraction, and it's asking us to do the surface area to the radius. So it's going to be 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. That's the surface area, and the radius is r. Now we can simplify this because we can divide both of these expressions by r. Let's see how that looks. So it would be 2 pi r squared over r plus 2 pi rh over r. And we want to divide the terms with r in them. So here we'd have r squared divided by r, which is just r. And here the r's actually cancel out, so we'd have 2 pi h. So that would be our simplified expression. All right, that's the end of the lesson.